No Game, No Life, Volume 7, Chapter 2, Part 6. Whodunnit, Overthinking. Sora awoke and looked around. He scratched his head, thinking he must have been more spent than he had realized. He'd gotten out of the bath and redistributed the dice among his company, but that's all he remembered. A human being enduring this unending string of trials could be expected to get so tired as to forget things. But what if the principal cause of his fatigue, the one who trapped him, Shiro? Muscles, stay away. Brother, save me. As if it were only natural. No, it was natural. She was nestled in Sora's arms. Even in sleep, she was battling wounds it seemed would never heal. This is too cruel. How can such violence stand? Stroking Shiro's head, Sora contemplated whether he ought to submit a complaint to Tet, saying, "Get off your ass already." "Oh my? I apologize, Master. Did I wake you?" Seems like Shiro fell asleep in the bath, so I carried her to the bedroom, only to run out of steam myself and collapse on the mattress. But her groaning and her sleep about rippling muscles woke me up. That pretty much cover it? Your exposition is most admirable, Master. What about you, though? I get the old fart, but what are you doing here, Jabril? Dimly lit by spirit light and the glittering of the two dice covering by her chest, Jabril was seated in a chair, writing in a book, also as if it were only natural. Apparently, Ino had come to interrogate Sora, but then what about Jabril? Well, I witnessed you sleeping without so much as a blanket, and felt it would be terrible if you were to catch a cold. Jabril answered Sora's queries with a tranquil smile. And therefore took advantage of your slumber to provide you with warmth from my naked... God damn it! How could I have slept through that? With sheer snoozing and total darkness, I could have experienced, all kinds of sensations legally. How could I miss such a critical... All alone, Sora shivered, clutching his head in shame. I came to see your faces, my masters. That is all. In the dimly lit room, Darul spoke quietly to Sora with a literal shadowy smile on her face. Sora, disconcerted, looked back at her. She kept working on her book, her journal, presumably. Still, coming out of nowhere as usual, she posed a question. Master, what do you think of reincarnation? I don't know. Are you saying you have it here? Man, you guys got everything, don't you? Reincarnation, a concept that many in the siblings' previous world believed in, but one which had never been proven. What was he supposed to say about the common sense of a world like Discord? Oh no, we have it not. You don't? Faked out, Sora squinted at her, but Jabril just kept writing and declared plainly. A soul that has lost its vessel dissolves into the spirit corridors and loses its meaning. He was describing this world's concept of death. Just as there is no reason for water to gather in a broken cup, the soul without his body permeates into the earth, dissolves into the atmosphere, and returns to the planet. This world has no reincarnation. However... Then Jabril stopped her writing. She faced Sora gently and continued. Well, only an infinitesimal possibility. Or as far-fetched as claiming monkeys typing infinitely could write a novel. it would be theoretically conceivable for people with the exact same souls to be born again. At some point, it had been established as common knowledge that souls really existed. Sora, at the time, had vaguely understood them to be something like DNA, but... So what you're saying is a clone could be born by coincidence? Let's see, these supposed souls, which contain more than just DNA, were reproduced under the exact same conditions. In that case, sure, maybe you could, in some ways, call that reincarnation. Master, hypothetically, if Lord Shiro were a reincarnation of someone else, what would you think? I wouldn't think anything. It's irrelevant and makes no difference to me. Sora replied immediately to Jibril's gentle probing. Shiro is just Shiro. She's no one in the past, and even if there's someone like her in the future, that's not her. Suppose, for argument's sake, such a clone did exist. It would only be some stranger who looked like Shiro. Then allow me to pose a different hypothetical. What if something were to happen to Lord Shiro? An unthinkable premise. If you want to make me cry, just say so, Sora grumbled. And then such a clone with exactly the same soul came to you. What would you think? Where does the self end and the stranger begin? It was a deep philosophical question. Sora's brain lacked such refinement. Then your premise holds no water. Why do you say that? Because she's a different person. It doesn't matter what I think. She wouldn't depend or care about me. I have my little sister, Shiro, who cares for me and stays by my side. And how about that? Weren't the chances of someone like her existing far scantier than someone born naturally with the exact same DNA? As Sora asked this, the corners of his eyes glistened with tears. It seems he hadn't given a satisfying answer. Jibril silently lowered her head, at which point a voice suddenly piped up. Brother, you're wrong. My sister, when did you wake up? The moment she said the words, warmth from my naked. The harsh glint in Shiro's red eyes and the dim light overwhelmed Sora. She took his place facing Jibril and spoke quietly in her usual near whisper. I don't get what you're asking, Jibril. It didn't seem that Sora, or even Jibril herself, knew either. But Shiro, knowing herself to be dense to people's subtleties, declared, for that very reason, that whatever Jibril was asking was of no interest to her. Reincarnation. I'll never accept it. Probability and hypothesis be damned, she whispered in a tone that brooked no argument. A clone of me would go back to brother. No matter how many times I'm reborn, every time I'll look for brother and go to him. Her red eyes scrutinizing him as she spoke made Sora question himself. And I know brother won't be able to say no. Could he confront this white skin, this soft voice, these red eyes looking up at him and say, that's not Shiro, it's someone else, and push her away? But if there's someone who looks like me, and sounds like me, and acts like me, then it would be simple, Shiro insisted, like a pouty, temperamental child. Being stroked by brother and smiling, happily, but isn't me," she concluded with tears in her eyes. "I will never accept it." In the silence, Sora chuckled. "I see. That is simple. Think about it the other way around. What if someone who looked like me but wasn't were stroking Shiro?" It didn't matter how Sora or Shiro or others saw it. It only mattered how you personally saw it, and that was that. As if satisfied by the answer this time, Jabril lowered her eyes, closed the book she'd been scribbling in again, and stood. "Pardon me for interrupting your rest. I shall withdraw. Please enjoy yourselves." "Hey, you still never told us why you came, did you?" Jabril had started to leave, happily stroking the 2 dice by her chest, when Sora narrowed his eyes and asked the question. "I came to see your faces, masters. That truly is all." Jabril laughed as she joked. "But I received more than I came for. Lastly, I have a report and a confirmation. One of each." "I shall start with the report," she said with a somehow complex smile. "I was correct to come here. It was an unsurpassably pleasant time." "And now the confirmation," she continued with a suggestive smile. "In this game, it is permitted that I win, is it not?" It was a game of betrayal and deception. Whatever secret thoughts each might harbor, there was one solid fact. Only one would finish. Just as Sora had set things up so that he and Shiro would win, just as everyone had, Jabril, too, must have done the same with her master's permission. Her eyes seemed to confirm it. "Of course, but also, we're not gonna let you win." "Jabril, I'll punish you real good." Jabril bowed deeply at the defiant replies. "I beg your forgiveness, but this game alone I must win, by any means necessary." As soon as Jabril had said this, she turned and flapped out the window into the night sky. Looking at a spot where she had been before disappearing as suddenly as she had come, Shiro muttered, "Brother, how many dice did you give Jabril?" "Huh? I mean, come on. She only had 2, you know? I made her give them back," is what Sora was about to say when he stopped. Do I remember her doing that? Nope. Considering that Sora and Shiro each had 9 at their chests, and Steph asleep in the other room had 1. "Jabril! What's up with making that dramatic declaration of war and then cheesing us like that?" She must have disguised her dice with magic to make off with the 8 she borrowed. Sora burst into tears. "Brother, you fail at this game. You fail at life." But from whence had this failure originated? A transfer made in order to escape Shiro. Her claim that it was all his fault left no room for objections, even from their allies. Sora merely clutched his head and wept.